Our guest is Bruce McClary, Senior Vice President of Membership and Communications for the National Foundation for Credit Counseling. Welcome, Bruce.
Hi, David. Thanks for having me on the show.
Good to have you. What is your biggest piece of advice for pre-retirees regarding debt?
Yeah, it's very important to have a forward view when you're heading into retirement, especially when it comes to your finances, and think about how your circumstances are going to be changing in terms of cash flow, especially. The loans that you owe today, the credit cards that you carry today, all of the financial obligations that you have to lenders, they're based on your current income. So clearly your income is going to change in retirement. You need to know exactly how and then what impact that's going to have on your budget, which includes the loans and the lines of credit that you're paying. And if you plan enough ahead of time, you can do some things to restructure that debt to adjust your financial situation, your budget, so that you can ease into retirement a little more painlessly. And some people say, well, you should pay off all your debt before you retire. I know from experience counseling people directly that that is not practical advice for everybody. So the advice is, yeah, it's okay to carry some debt into retirement. You just need to be very strategic about how you approach that and think about cash flow.
Yeah, that's very good, Bruce. And I would agree with you. I don't think it's necessary to pay the debt off completely. And you're right, not only from a practical standpoint, but let's look at what we're trying to accomplish. I think the bigger issues, which you've alluded to, is knowing what your cash flow is going to be, knowing how much the debt is going to take to service and stay in good standing with it. And obviously you're going to want things that are fixed in nature, predictable, so you can manage your cash flow so you don't get squeezed in a rising interest rate environment on a credit card or something like that, or a variable interest rate loan. And make sure that all of it can be well managed, because we have to be practical and we've got to be smart.
Exactly. And having clarity of vision and into the future, being able to see what's ahead with your income, with your earning in retirement versus where it is now, and how those loans are structured, and know where you stand financially with savings, with your credit score, because you may have to borrow in retirement. What's that going to look like if you have, say, a 700 credit score versus an 850? So all of these things are important on your pre-retirement financial checklist.
Good. And from a financial planner standpoint, we need to know what we're getting into. And so you need to map this out and project in advance. And if you can't really make it work when you're honest about it and look at the numbers, because the numbers don't lie, then you might have to wait a little bit on that retirement. Instead of maybe 65, maybe it's 67, maybe instead of 62, it's 65. It's just not worth it unless somebody has some sort of other reason, health or something else going on. Those extra couple years can make an enormous impact, especially on knocking down debt.
Exactly. And if you're in the approach to retirement and you've got delinquent accounts, if you're behind on your credit cards, if you're behind on your auto loan, your mortgage, that is a red alert fire alarm right there. And you need to pay very close attention to that, prioritize that first to try to resolve that, because things can get really ugly if you let those loans slide into default, and then people take out judgments against you, collection agencies are calling. It can get really bad.
Yeah, retiring and going to less income is not going to improve that situation.
No, it won't. Yeah.
How about for people who are already retired? What resources are available to them to help? And, speak maybe specifically about NFCC and where you guys can come in.
Yeah, nonprofit credit counseling agencies can be a great resource for seniors who are struggling to balance their budget, who are at risk of falling behind on some of their debt obligations, their credit card debt. And financial counselors with nonprofit credit counseling agencies can take a look at your entire financial picture and work out options for you that you may not have considered. And a lot of times the first session is free. So it's a more affordable option than some of the other places where you could go to get financial advice in those areas.
Well, I know a word of caution that everybody needs to take seriously is, there are a lot of options or solutions that are presented in the marketplace for debt relief or debt restructuring. And so number one, everybody's got to be very careful in looking at those. And number two, if it seems like a quick fix or maybe a little too good to be true, then even more caution should be applied.
Exactly. If you're in a financial crisis, sometimes you feel compelled to make a decision faster than you normally would. So you don't give yourself that time to check something out. And I always tell people, give yourself an hour, a day, even a week to check out your options so you're making an informed choice. And there's some very toxic choices people can make in haste that can make their financial situation a lot worse. But I will say, for people in a debt crisis, nonprofit credit counseling agencies offer debt repayment plans that allow them to benefit from lower interest rates, re-aging of accounts to bring them back up to date when the program starts, and they can pay off their debt affordably, and they pay it off entirely. And some of these debt settlement plans or credit repair programs often overpromise what they're selling, and you may not end up being able to put yourself in a better situation by making a choice there in haste.
Yeah, very good. And you have some examples, Bruce, about maybe the impact of how these programs have helped people over the years?
Yeah, absolutely. We partnered, the NFCC partnered with the Ohio State University to conduct research on the impact of financial counseling long term. And people who enroll in these debt management programs often see a significant reduction of their higher interest rate unsecured debt over time versus the control group of non-counseled individuals. So the unique thing about this study is we took a direct one-to-one comparison between people in debt crisis who did go through the counseling program and those who did not. And there was an average 50-point lift in credit scores. There was a reduction of about $6,000 in debt over 6 quarters after counseling. So these do really have a big impact, and the programs allow people to pay off their debt affordably as well.
That's great news, Bruce. Bruce McClary, thank you very much. More information, of course, over at nfcc.org. Thanks, Bruce.
All right. Thanks, David. Thanks for having me.
If you would like more information about the topics and our guests featured in this series, please visit our website at PlanStrongerTV.com. Also, if you have a question you would like David to answer, please send it to questions@PlanStrongerTV.com.